He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Dael and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minutes!
Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minutes and Robin, the podcast where not all heroes wear masks, but they do talk about each minute of Batman and Robin 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And the host that you are all thinking about, always. It's all you can think about. It is me, John Parker.
Hey, and here heroically taking on yet another minute of Batman movies. Without a mask, I'm assuming. I don't know if Dael is wearing a mask. There's no video. I can't see. So, but yeah, we have returning once again, Dael Kingsmill.
I wear a mask at all times to disguise my identity, just in case.
But really, aren't we all wearing a mask? Society's mask.
In a Patrick Bateman kind of way, yeah.
Yeah, and also right now in a there's a pandemic on, let's all wear masks kind of a way.
Yeah, you should be wearing one anyway.
Well, that's the thing, because we get in now. Well, obviously, we're here to talk about minute 74, which opens with a reminder that not all heroes wear masks, and it ends a minute later with two heroes in masks. But yeah, because that is like, that's the meme now, though. Like, well, I think the meme people do is like, not all heroes wear capes, but capes, mask, you know, it's the same deal, basically. But yeah, you always see it with like people, just like a picture of like a pizza delivery person, and like not all heroes wear masks.
Wear capes, yeah.
Well, we'll say though, in to extend on what Alfred's saying there, like always wanting to be out there with them. Should be noted that Alfred has donned the bat suit on several occasions.
Yeah, quite recently. I mean, the last time I saw it in comics, it was only like a year ago.
Yeah, during Tom King, he was almost treating it like it was serious and stuff. Like usually it's always kind of like a silly thing when Alfred has to dress up and stuff. But not only has it happened in comics, going as far back as Batman 22 from 1944, where Alfred was hooked up with a young woman called Belinda. And he wanted to impress her, so he kept bragging about like how he was friends with Batman and stuff. And Belinda was like, "Get out of here!" So Alfred just went and stole the bat suit and showed up, and was just talking about how great Alfred was as Batman. But the twist was, Belinda turned out to be Catwoman. So
that's amazing.
It was weird reading it recently too, because it's been so long since we'd had to talk about Catwoman. Like, I always get concerned about, like, in potential future seasons of the show, like, oh, we have to talk about the Joker again. We talked about him so much. And then reading something about Catwoman and remembering Batman Returns season, I was like, that was so long ago now.
Yeah.
I forget half the things we talked about with Catwoman.
Oh, I've forgotten all the research we did. Yeah.
Yeah. But the Catwoman used to have a mask that was basically a cat's head. Like, it wasn't this sexy, kind of thing that...
Hey, people are into that too. Don't kink shame.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was a full-on...
Just a furry.
Yeah, a full-on furry head. Like a big furry... a cat's face
was there a furry tail attached to the back?
It was, and he had a big long green dress and stuff. I was like, yeah, it's one of those issues. You're like, what the hell is that? Oh, it's Catwoman.
What?
Are you sure you were reading a Batman comic?
Yeah.
But
this wasn't your OnlyFans.
Oh, well, that's one does not discuss his OnlyFans on air, John.
It's not civilized.
Well, the 60s TV show, because beyond that, though, I should mention Alfred dressed in the Batman outfit numerous times throughout the years. You can go look them up. I'll send a link to the Facebook page because there's a whole article written about them. But
well, I hope they all have the character of Belinda, because every time you kept saying it, I was thinking of the podcast My Dad Wrote a Porno. That's the book in that, isn't it? Belinda Blinked.
But in the 1960 show, of course, as well, Alfred, Alan Napier notably had to dress up as Batman twice, much to his chagrin, because they obviously were like, well, it's it's 1960s TV budget. Like, we're not making a specialized suit for him, so he had to just dress in Adam West's outfit. And Alan Napier is really, really tall, and Adam West is not. And so yeah, this old man had to dress in this skin tight thing that was way too small for him, and apparently he was like, because he was quite old, he was just like, this was a nightmare, and he had to like make the studio promise after the second time they wouldn't do it again. But yeah, in the episode Walk the Straight and Narrow, which features Art Carney as the criminal The Archer. Of course, Art Carney played Arnold Schwarzenegger's uncle in Jack Slater 4 within The Last Action Hero. His remember, he goes to his house and he's got him like, he's tied up in his underwear, and then there's a bomb blows up a house. Go watch The Last Action Hero. It's a really good movie. But yeah, after that, then within that episode, Bruce Wayne has to attend like a function or something, but Batman also needs to be there. So he gets Alfred to dress up as him, gives him this little voice modulator device. And he's just like, oh yeah, just put that up. And I was like, oh, it had my mustache as well. So I was like, yeah, it's very good, Alfred, very good. And so the whole time where they're trying to negotiate this whole thing, Robin's standing next to the police, Commissioner Gordon talking about it. And then Alfred's as Batman way off in some street corner. And he's like, oh, Batman, are you okay? He's like, oh, I've got a slight cold. Yes, I don't want to come near you, Commissioner. Again, good social distancing on Alfred's part there. But also, yeah, the episode The Joker's Epitaph features the Joker kidnaps Bruce Wayne and then kind of takes control of his body in order to sign over the bank to the Joker, making him vice president of the bank, because then he just gets the money, I guess, or whatever.
That's how banks work, yeah.
Yeah, and Robin is, he tries to solve it himself, ends up getting captured, and the Joker is making Bruce Wayne press Robin at a big printing press into a comic, which is like a little, oh, hardy har, Robin's going to be in a comic and stuff.
That's actually brilliant, can I just say? I love it.
But then Alfred shows up, has to do like the bat rope up the side, and then he jumps in and through the power of ventriloquism shouts, "Here comes the bat gas!" Throws some gas at the Joker. Joker runs away. The episode progresses from there. But
I'm going to say that anytime I'm about to fart.
Here comes the bat gas.
Oh, it's baffling because it comes in. Alfred is mouthing it as Bruce Wayne's saying it. So it's like, is this a standard thing? It's like, if you should ever need to be Batman,
yeah,
in order for you to sound like Batman,
routine, yeah,
I'm going to use ventriloquism to shout, "Here comes the bat gas,"
and he'd have to know what he's going to say.
Yeah, that's the thing. So he must know this is the stock phrase we use no matter what happens.
I like that it never occurred to them that he could just not say anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to announce it. You could just, okay, all right.
Well, Batman sings, he's always skulking in the shadows and stuff in silence.
Hey,
why would he say anything?
Old-fashioned comics didn't like too many panels of silence, did they? It's like, no, he has to be making funny quips and things. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
But we'll say like that episode must have been popular enough because like you can actually get a toy of Alan Napier in the Batman outfit. And I didn't know it was available until last night, and now it's all that I want in life.
Is it reasonably priced?
I think it's one of those things that you have to ship it from the US. So it might be like 12, 16 bucks or something. But then like an additional 30 or something on top of that. So,
classic.
But yeah, so just want to get in there. Alfred has been out and about with them, as it were. Just sadly not the Michael Goff version. So
they should have at least once just found an excuse to get him in the suit.
Yeah. At the end too, he just fakes out Barbara Gordon, like, I took the liberty, and it's like her just sitting the guy behind the computer telling him what to do on the little headpiece while he's out in the Batgirl outfit.
Well, you know what they would do these days? It'd be this story, he's dying, and Bruce would somehow he would take one of his suits and he'd work his scientific magic on it and his tech, and he would create a suit that would keep Alfred alive. And Alfred would have to permanently wear the suit. He'd look like Iron Man.
Or Mr. Freeze, I guess.
Get Freeze involved too, yeah.
Relevant!
Well, that is actually part of the story in a way. Because, Alfred dying, Freeze could possibly help him. Really. With his research and things, he could maybe help the guy.
Oh, it'd be great if he...
But they seem to have a moral objection to this. Like, no... that's not right.
That'd be something if that's what the twist at the end was, that Mr. Freeze comes in to help Alfred, what he does is just give him that same serum to turn him into Mr. Freeze.
That'd be awesome.
And then puts him in the suit, and then
And
Alfred
then
becomes
there's
a new
two Mr. Freezes.
They go Batman 5 right there.
And then he's the villain in the next one.
Yeah,
Alfred.
perfect.
That'd be good.
He's like, I've always wanted to do this, sir. Just turns around and blasts him with the ice cannon and stuff.
Oh, that'd be great. And all the scenes of that. I don't want to hurt you, Alfred.
You need help, Alfred. Give it up.
This is someone please write this as a comic.
Yeah. But speaking of which, though, Freeze has escaped, according to Dick Grayson, barreling down the stairs there.
What?
Well, the few times Bruce Wayne has not been watching television in this goddamn manner, turns it off, instantly misses the biggest thing that happened in Gotham.
But I have a question. Like, maybe the answer to this is simple, but if Freeze escapes, would the news necessarily let you know that information? Because would that not scare people? Like, if a big master criminal escaped here, would they just put it on the news, or would they try and keep it hush hush for a bit?
Well, that's the thing then. So how would Dick know, though? Unless it's like, does Gordon now have an additional
Police scanner.
Oh, that's
scanner?
true. Yeah.
Yeah. Although we did know too, like the Wayne Manor in Batman Returns all kitted out with all those different bat signals. None of them seem to be going off here, unless it's just upstairs or something. And then Dick's like, oh, the signal's going off. We do know Gordon had a little thing in the Batmobile where he could talk and say like, oh, he's calling himself Mr. Freeze. So maybe Dick was on the phone to Gordon. He's like, all right, he's escaped.
Yeah, or maybe it's not even up to the police. Maybe it's just that, like, Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy and Bane are not the most inconspicuous people. So the minute they got out of the water, there were a bunch of civilians like, you will not believe what I just saw.
That is a good point. And then again, if it was these days, immediately be on Twitter. You know,
I mean, everything about them having to come out of that water. It's like, is Mr. Freeze's suit not just going to be rusted to all hell? And like,
oh, it's fancy tech, Niall. Come on.
these guys are going to like swim in that thing.
Stainless steel.
I imagine he doesn't swim. I imagine he sinks right to the bottom and just walks. He looks heavy.
But I think that too, like, we still do not really understand the ideas behind Mr. Freeze. It's like, we know he doesn't age because in the comics he doesn't age. He doesn't need to eat, according to like several, like the Harley Quinn TV show. Like he kind of freaks them out by like making them describe the taste of food because he can't remember anymore, much like Frodo Baggins kind of
He's
thing.
frozen the crap out of his tongue.
Yeah, so it's like, does he need to breathe, or is he just like, or could he be like, yeah, like I inhale and it's good for like an hour? Like it just.
I did not inhale.
I don't inhale, I don't swallow. It's the whole thing. Yeah, so could he just be like, go to the bottom and then walk across?
I mean, it's a good question. I was actually, just before recording this, I was researching hypothermia. Not connected. I just happened to be it.
I am currently concerned I have hypothermia, so I'm just checking it out.
And I wish that I knew more about the thing that I was reading, the thesis I was reading was talking about how the body in extreme cases does try to enter hibernation, at which point, like all of the core systems go down to like bare minimum function. And the danger of that is less about the being frozen, which is a danger, don't get me wrong, but is more about if you thaw in the wrong order is when it becomes bad. But that just makes me think that maybe he doesn't need to breathe. Maybe it's just the same thing of just like...
Yeah, I don't know, because I would have thought he would have to breathe, but now, if it was the animated series, Mr. Freeze, he's got that helmet. Which is more all-encompassing than this sort of thing that...
That's making me remember now, though. Remember when they took him into Arkham and he tried to run out? It seemed as if he couldn't breathe when he got outside the cold beam.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Yeah. Now this just opens up a whole new mystery, though. Like, how the hell did Mr. Freeze get across?
Maybe he was thawing in the wrong order. Maybe it's because his extremities were thawing first.
There you go.
Or maybe his suit has little jets or something that he can just skim along the water. He just like lies on his back. He's like, well, there I go. So we know he had those wings in the back for whatever reason. So
that's true. I could imagine it having like a little jetpack kind of option as well.
Yeah, it is borderline Iron Man suit in his own way. So it's like, yeah, so I've thought of it in case I ever need to swim away. Yeah, got it.
I like that we don't see it though. It's one of those things I don't need to know. It's like, okay, cool, they get away somehow. Actually, at the start, there's one thing I Actually, no, ignore me. We've kind of gone over that. We'll delete that.
I do love that they say, not all heroes wear masks. And then immediately they're like, but we do. But we in the Bat family choose masks.
Not all of them wear masks. It's fine if we do it. You don't have to. Anyone else can do what they want. It's fine.
I was like, I appreciate Alfred's smile there. Back to it too, because as much joshing as we're doing about how toxic a father figure he was to Bruce Wayne, the moments between them where they are kind of like the formalities are melting away, and you can see the affection between them. Is like it's genuinely nice. It's just it would be much nicer if it were like Michael Keaton playing the part, because then it would be like, well, it's the fourth movie. Like we know these guys together. But
I mean, that's unavoidable at this point, though. I kind of can't fault it for that in a way. Although I would want it to be Keaton.
Yeah,
but this is nice. You're right. That's a good choice of words because it's sweet, it's lovely, and this is probably the closest they get to like a back-slapping hug, isn't it? Which would be uncouth again. Alfred wouldn't like that. But,
I've got Dick Grayson landing down on like the most 90s of fashions, where there's the black jumper with a little white T-shirt thing underneath. I remember you could buy them that would just like there wasn't a T-shirt underneath. It was just a white
just
thing.
Sewn in,
what was the point in there?
To give the illusion that you're wearing a white T-shirt.
Yeah, but why not just wear those two items anyway?
I just don't know.
Well, you wear like a red T-shirt underneath, and then you got a little bit of red on top of the white, on top of the black. Hey, layer it up.
The only thing I can think is it's like you're actually wearing less layers, and so you're not as warm. Maybe you live somewhere that's a bit warmer, but you still want the look.
I'll just make the collar higher, so you don't have to have this big gaping thing where you give the T-shirt underneath. Yeah,
but you want that look.
Like go the Bruce Wayne route. I got a bit distracted this week because George Clooney, he looks like he's wearing like Val Kilmer's old jumper or something. It's way too big for him. But again, that was the 90s too. To just have massively baggy jumpers. But
yeah, none of us can ever pretend to understand the fashion of the 90s. No. Let's be honest.
No. People diss the 80s. The 90s is way crazier.
I'm enjoying it too. I've seen on your Instagram, Dael, you were now doing like little fashion shoots to yourself. I've seen some sort of Blossom-esque outfits you got going on there. Well, I would say Blossom.
That was a lot of fun. That photo shoot was a birthday present to myself. I was like, I had to cancel my party because the eternal lockdown. And I was like, what's something I can do that I'll enjoy on my birthday just by myself? Ah, yes. Taking a lot of self-indulgent photos of myself in cute outfits I put together.
Hey,
so,
we all need that sometimes.
Sometimes you just gotta dress like a 90s teen.
It's like I was really channeling the spirit of Willow Rosenberg into the internet again. Yeah,
exactly. The sort of best friend from the 90s.
It's one of those
Alex
floppy
Max,
hats.
Sabrina, Buffy, all of those.
This is the role you've given yourself in life. It's like, I am just the best friend to the main character. Look, I bought the hat and everything. That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Hey, the best characters are always the best friend.
Yeah. I thought the thing with Clooney's jumper reminded me. Have you guys been following the Elizabeth Holmes stuff in the news? Which is, I found that fascinating.
Oh, I don't think so.
She was a tech giant who was like launched into like the stratosphere and modeled herself very much on being like the female Steve Jobs. Where
you mean literally launched into the stratosphere?
No. But like much like Bruce Wayne's got the Steve Jobs black turtleneck going on. Every time you saw her, she was always wearing this black turtleneck and posing in Steve Jobs-esque poses. And she created this thing called the Edison, which was a machine that would, from one prick of your blood, could do like 1 billion tests. We could identify all sorts of diseases and all this sort of thing.
Oh my gosh.
And then it turned out this stank millions and millions and millions into this. And she was hailed as being this. She dropped out of university at 19, was hailed as being like this stratospheric genius. Turned out machine didn't work. She was lying about everything. And now she's up in trial for fraud. And it's all back up in the news now. And it gets even weirder where like people are examining her emails and goes into some crazy stuff. But like when you see her speaking at TED Talks, she speaks in this very deep voice like this. And now people are coming out and saying like, that's not her voice. Like
she's putting it on.
She was putting on a voice like she was freaking Batman or something, which is like, it's believed because apparently she has quite a high pitched voice. People wouldn't take her seriously, so now she talks like this the whole time, so everyone thinks she's more dominant and stuff.
I wonder what voice she'll use on trial.
That'd be the thing. Yeah, now she's looking up in her holding cell, like voices, like poison ivy seduction voices or something.
No, I reckon she can't control it. It just happens. It's like Two-Face.
There you go.
Ooh.
She's a Batman villain.
Now she'll be Big Bad Liz, whereas he was Big Bad Harv when he switched into the Two-Face.
That sounds like a nickname for the Queen, Big Bad Liz.
That's what Alfred called her in that Pennyworth show.
I bet he did.
But anyway, we then cut to the Snowy Cones ice cream factory, where notably the Batmobile is outside, not the Redbird, not Robin's bike. I don't know if he's been like, you ain't riding that thing anymore, kid. Not after that. I told you couldn't make that jump, damn it. So now I'm taking the bike away.
Now, is it just me as well, or do all the cars, all of them, just look like cheap models?
Oh, yeah.
Like, these look like little toys.
For sure. For sure.
I have a question as well about, like, why exactly do they come here to Freeze's former lair? Because surely they're not intending to find him here now, right?
That's a really good point.
Is it just like information gathering? Do they think he's popped in to pick some stuff up? Might be
I guess
some
it could be
evidence.
to gauge where he might go next. You can look into his stuff to see if he's got like, maybe he has a map with a big X on it or something that we can be like,
Maybe they went to arrest all his cronies and question them.
Maybe, but you'd think when they initially arrested Freeze and got him put away in Arkham, wouldn't they have done
They would
that?
have arrested all his cronies.
And
Yeah,
cleared
that's a
this
really good
place
point.
out.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Did Freeze flip on him? Because like we don't know. We know later on he does still have cronies. They didn't all die in that crash. And yet when he was locked in Arkham, were they like, all right, so tell us where your hideout is? Was he just like, no? Or like, have they only now just discovered that like this is where Mr. Freeze?
That's
Or
the thing,
when they locked him up, they're like, we don't have to worry about it. That's to him. And they're like, oh Christ, we better go. Where could he be hiding out? Maybe that ice cream factory.
Well,
or something.
these police are useless. Probably the latter then.
I mean, they are fundamentally useless because within these couple of minutes, they find Nora Freeze. And I guess if Batman didn't find her, she would have just been there forever. You know, there's no one.
Yeah.
Good thing there was a really big button in that freezer that everyone could see.
Oh, man.
That surely won't happen. What are you talking about? That can't
I'm
be
actually
anything
looking
like
forward to getting to talk about that because it's a thing I didn't. We saw that button prior to in the movie, and it only dawned on me weeks later that there was a joke about it.
Yes, no, I've got the same note. Oh my god, I'm almost positive it's what the meal is. Yeah.
So we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
That blew my mind because I've never noticed it before. It's really good.
Yeah, but inside this giant snowman's head is, of course, the star of The Falcon and the Snowman, Pat Hingle, Commissioner Gordon himself.
Whoop whoop.
Woo!
Finally getting some Gordon action.
Yeah, Dale, I know you had fake Gordon in the box thing.
I had fake Gordon. Yeah. I'm glad to finally get real Gordon.
You were on that cheap, like the Rola Cola stuff. Now you're getting Coke Classic, the real deal. I say real deal, the worst Commissioner Gordon ever committed to screen. Yeah.
I am fascinated that this film decided to have Barbara as Batgirl. But they looked at Gordon and they were like, yes, you are a character. But we're going to just change her last name and not talk about it.
Yeah, it's harsh. This is the time you could finally do something with Gordon, isn't it? And it's like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, We've thought about it and decided no.
I think Pat Hingle's just happy to be asked back, to be honest. Like, oh, okay, fine, yeah.
The fact he's always in that same uniform every time makes me feel like they shot all his scenes in like the one day. And they just happen to have like, yeah, we got the botanical ball set up next door. Pat just wander in there for 10 minutes. Come in here. Right, okay, we're done. And it's like, oh yeah, they had them dressed up as Batman and Robin. Like, yeah, we can just go straight into that scene.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about it.
He probably doesn't even remember being in the movie. He's just like, well, yeah, I did Batman and Robin. Well.
Yeah. Then he got to do his little Red Alert cameo at the beginning where it's like, oh, Mr. Freeze, in the one space they won't get corrupted by capitalism. Space.
Space.
Classic.
The greatest delivered line by any actor ever, just seeing Tim Curry laugh trying to say that line.
And think how I felt, because I played the game on launch. I got to witness that firsthand in the moment. Like, oh my God.
Incredible.
As
and I already love Tim Curry.
Of all the things he's done, he's been Frankenfurter. He's dressed as a killer clown. He could take all that without a smirk, but happened to say that line. He was like, all right. Space.
It's wonderful.
Oh.
I find this hilarious as well. Gordon, again, being stupid, he shows them some footage and he's like, we got this off the Arkham surveillance camera. And, we see the villains together, ready to leave. It is not surveillance footage. This is a movie camera.
It's fully a movie camera. And I love it so. It is the greatest piece of footage possibly ever captured. Them all looking to the side in sync and then looking away in sync. But when I say in sync, I don't mean actually in sync. I mean slightly out of sync.
Kinda.
It's just so good.
It's not security footage. It's footage from like minute 69. We've seen this exact shot, but now they just put a black and white filter.
But I love the idea that it is security footage. They're all just huddled. They're in a hiding place, and they don't realize there's a camera 1 foot away from them.
Blinking. Making noise as it moves.
And again, also, we mentioned it briefly last minute, but they're like, oh, that's Mr. Freeze. And they're like, oh, it's Poison Ivy. And I was like, who is the guy in the gimp mask with the tubes coming out? Who's like a friggin' tank? Like, there's no one gonna go.
You'd think someone would mention him. You'd think someone would go, I'm sorry, you have a giant in a Mexican wrestling mask. Can we talk about this?
Yeah. Someone should at least
There's green tubes coming out of his head.
Yeah.
Someone should at least be like, oh, now there's 3 of them. What the hell?
And then he was going showing them the photo of Ivy disembarking the plane. They're still not mentioning, like, oh, that same guy in that same mask, just wearing a trench coat and a very obviously photoshopped fedora on his head.
Much like that security footage was the greatest footage ever captured.
Yeah.
That fake photo is the greatest photo ever used. I just love it so much. It's black and white. It's like sepia tone.
It looks like it's from
As though it is
Casablanca.
from Casablanca. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. She's got the scarf around her head and she's covering her face. It's so
Like,
good.
Why are they taking her photo? Is it the paparazzi there or something?
That's a good point. Who got the picture?
That's a really good point. That's so stupid.
It's a surveillance camera,
I love
Niall.
Yeah.
But I will say though, all the stuff Gordon comes out with about like, oh, these two chartered a flight and then they, killed a guy, stole his limousine, all this business. That's actually those were scenes that they're in the script way earlier. They're in the novelization, and it's one of those. It's a good example of economic storytelling where it's like, you want to save some money. This guy just tells you what happens. You don't need to know how they got there.
Exposition.
Yeah.
And I mean, they certainly showed us them in the car with Bane driving, wearing his fedora. Like we had a little glimpse.
This is a popular look for him now. This needs to come back in the next Bane. Tom Hardy should have worn this.
It was actually weirdly enough they kind of were doing it more sensibly.
Sorry, I can't stop thinking. Play it again, Sam. You remind me of a man. Anyway,
Like, all the gin joints and all the downs and all the world.
She had to walk into mine. Sorry, go on.
Yes. This needs to happen.
Again, too, Tom Hardy's Bane on a plane. He was a much bigger deal. Whole opening scene. Chris Nolan clearly saw this photo and he's like, Bane on a plane. Now there's your opening scene. The flyer rises. But weird enough, in the original script and the novelization, they played it more sensibly, where it explained how Ivy got Bane over without any questions. Was that she put him in a coffin, and she pretended to be like a grieving widow.
Oh, she looks like a widow here.
Yeah, so I wonder if maybe that's why he's so badly photoshopped in the back there, is because there was originally a photo of her just as a grieving widow, and it was supposed to be the coffin. Maybe they filmed the scene and stuff. And as these guys are like hauling that coffin along, they're like, "Jesus, what you feed this guy, lead?" And then she's like, "Oh, he's a little bit sensitive about that." And then Bane bursts out, kills the guys and stuff. But weirdly enough, this, as silly as it is, in the much acclaimed Batman the Animated Series, which is regarded as the greatest iteration of Batman, and we had the guy who wrote the episode Bane on this show. The introduction of Bane as a character in that episode is him getting off a plane in a suit, tie, fedora, with the goddamn mask on, as if he just wears it all the friggin' time. And it's the silliest shot ever.
In the best possible way.
Yeah. I'm thinking that's where Chris Nolan's getting all this, because like in Nightfall, when they introduced Bane, the mask was just a mask. You take it off like every other day. Like it's just like, he sticks it on for battle and stuff, but it's not like a thing he needs. But now it is like, oh yeah, Bane never takes off that mask. Like, no, that's not a thing. He can take off the mask whenever he wants.
I like it when it justifies that he can't, though. Like, if he just doesn't take it off, that's weird to me. But this movie and the Nolan ones seem to have like a reason he can't take it off. When
we get to whatever format we cover Dark Knight Rises in, whether it be minute by minute or like in chunks or whatever, there's gonna be so many discussions about what the hell, how Tom Hardy would function with that mask on all the time. Like, does he have a mohawk on because he can only shave little bits of his head? Like, what's going on? Like, it doesn't make any sense, that whole thing. But that's a discussion for down the line, I guess.
In about 4 years.
Yeah. But we'll also mention too that whole thing of Batman and the Animated Series. While we still have the last little remnant there of Ivy busting Mr. Freeze out of Arkham, that is taken directly too from the episode Deep Freeze, which is the second Mr. Freeze episode, wherein the opening of it is Mr. Freeze in Arkham, and someone bursts through the wall to break him out. It's just a big robot, and it just like lifts him up and like puts him inside its chest, and he's just like, "Ah!" It's also very, very funny.
That does sound wonderful. I need to see that. It possibly won't top this photograph, but
although we'll say also, John, in that episode features Bat Knight as a little robot, voiced by the guy who did Krang in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh
Perfect.
My God, yes.
And also has William Sanderson playing the role of a robot maker. Was William Sanderson's the guy who played Sebastian in Blade Runner, who was the guy who made the robots and stuff. And it's like, so everything's connected. If anyone ever wonders why me and John are constantly saying I would be remiss, it's because we're quoting William Sanderson in Deadwood. Oh, everything's connected. We're going way too off track with this, though.
Hey, who cares? Yeah, I added remiss to my vocabulary because of Deadwood, and because that character is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I would be remiss if we didn't mention. That's why we say I would be remiss.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I need Niall, for my birthday, can you get me a print of this photo, though? I want this. I'm not even joking. I want this framed on the wall. Look at it. I know we've gone over it 50 times, but I've just got it paused on the screen, and I can't get over it.
Stick it in the Hall of Fame.
There's going to be the original photo. We're going to obtain the artifact from one of them.
Or would you rather, Dale, we could have commissioned painting of you as Poison Ivy and Omar as Bane holding the suitcases behind you?
That would be incredible.
I wish I had Photoshop skills, because I'd at least be mocking that up tomorrow.
I can do you word art. I can try to do it that way.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll try to get it up for when the episode ends.
Something else we haven't mentioned is, of course, the way they're very, very, dare I say cleverly, because it's not clever, trying to avoid upsetting any countries by this flight being Air South America. Nice and vague.
It covers the whole continent.
Yeah. One company, the entirety of South America. It's not big, is it? South America. It's tiny. It's tiny.
Just small.
But we'll say that one thing I actually really loved in this scenario of Commissioner Gordon, like Batman and Robin coming in, investigating a crime scene, all police tape everywhere, and Gordon explaining like what's happening to them, is just a really rang true to me, because at this point, as of recording, the only thing we've seen of the Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, is that one trailer. And it's the same friggin' scenario. Like, that opens with a crime scene. Gordon explained the whole, like, from your special friend.
And it does kind of, even though, at least in this case, I mean, I hope in the, Pattinson one that it'll be maybe a little bit more thought out. But in this one, it is silly, but in both cases, it lends this air of Batman as detective. Like, I feel like this movie, probably more than any of the previous three, is really like, Batman is a detective. He is solving stuff. He's constantly like, oh, I noticed that you have this crest on your blazer. He spends this whole movie being a detective in a way that I don't think was given as much kind of focus in the previous ones, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. I really love that it's the same scenario, because it really emphasizes, like, as dark and moody as Matt Reeves is going, that trailer and this scene are like the same thing, and it's like, it's the same character. It's the same, no matter what way you paint Batman, he's always the same dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I kind of love it for that. I kind of want someone now to do an edit of this scene with the moody Nirvana song. I'm like, underneath the bridge. And it's like, does it just mean anything to you? And just hands him that picture of Poison Ivy and Bane getting off the plane.
Yes!
Oh man, now I got 2 projects to get done before this episode comes out.
This is the problem. This show seems to lead to us just having millions of other projects that we're never going to do.
But we'll say that one thing, again, we'd be remiss, and we have been remiss thus far for not mentioning. Going here talks about, like, oh yeah, this dude was found toxic, poisons in his system. That's what killed him and stuff. And I haven't talked about the actual inspiration behind Poison Ivy being a poisonous woman. What that actually is. It all stems from the story Rappaccini's Daughter from 1844 by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I know, Dael, you're quite well read. I don't know if you know much about Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Not especially, but I've heard little bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah, he's guy who wrote the Scarlet Letter, which of course went on to give us the classic Easy A with Emma Stone down the line.
Nathaniel Hawthorne's greatest accomplishment.
Yeah,
Easy A, starring Emma Stone.
Much like the Jane Austen's greatest achievement was writing Emma, which would then go on to inspire Clueless.
Clueless, yeah.
I always forget that. Yeah.
In my household, you definitely don't forget that Clueless is an adaptation of Emma, because my mother wrote her honors thesis, not her doctoral thesis, but her honors thesis on Jane Austen adaptations.
Oh,
nice.
Oh my God.
I used to, in school, if I had an essay I had to write on Jane Austen, but I had not finished the book or did not want to finish the book, what I would do instead was I would put on any adaptation of that book, and I would wait for her to pause the movie and get up and grab the book and read out why it was different, because I figured I would get all the important bits. Clueless is probably her favorite Austen adaptation of all time.
I was going to say, like, one of the things I've got in mind for in the hiatus is I recently discovered you can get the entirety of the Clueless TV show on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I used to like that. I don't know if it holds up, but
the theme tune still lives in my head rent free. Just love constantly. Just as soon as I think about it, it just plays out in its entirety, and I can't stop it.
What a wild time it was where they would make a movie, a teen film, and it would be a success, and they would be like, let's make a live action TV series with a whole new cast because we can't afford the actor. Because they did it with so many of them. 10 Things I Hate About You had one too, didn't it?
Oh, but that's the thing though. In the Clueless TV show, Lisa Silverstone not there. the rest of the cast is the cast from the movie. Donald Faison, he's back.
Wow.
Obviously, actually, no, to be fair, no, don't have Paul Rudd. He's not there. Don't have Dan Hedaya. Weirdly enough, one I've bookmarked because I just want to talk about Brittany Murphy. She appears in the show as a different character.
That's quite cool, though, I think.
Yeah,
That's like a little funny thing, an Easter egg.
But like one episode, it's like now I was going to say like, oh, Dale, you should come on for the Clueless episode if you want. But now I'm like, we should get Dale's mom in to talk about this.
Yeah, screw you.
Honestly, yes.
So no, you don't get any Alicia Silverstone minutes there. So I thought I would make it up to you.
I don't. It's a real shame because I want to sit here and defend her with my life.
Oh.
I mean, I want to defend young Alicia Silverstone with my life. The current modern Alicia Silverstone is a little more problematic, so I'm just gonna stay neutral. I'm gonna stay neutral on current Alicia Silverstone.
I don't know.
But
what's
young
your...
Alicia Silverstone.
Now, kind of like, you have beef with modern Alicia Silverstone? I don't think I know.
I don't have beef, but she's very into like Peter, and is questionable on certain important modern topics. Anyway, it's fine.
I think I know
she's making fun TikTok. Thank you. She's making fun TikToks, and that's good for her. And I'm happy for her and her family. I wish her no ill.
I do know she's part of something called the Martha Project. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, why did you say that name? I was like, how can she do that? How can Batgirl be the head of something called the Martha Project and not know that everyone's just going to go to that joke?
Yeah.
But anyway, Rappaccini's Daughter, which was a 1844 story by Nathaniel Hawthorne, which is about a botanist called Giacomo Rappaccini, who grows a garden of poisonous plants, and then he raises his daughter within it. And through osmosis, she herself becomes poisonous to the touch. Good
for her.
At one point, another scientist comes in and falls in love with her when she's in her 20s, whatever. And then, like, he has obviously the relationship is a bit strained because he can't get too close to her. But then, over time, because he spends time with her, he becomes poisonous. And then he actually goes and comes up with an antidote, gives it to her, and it kills her because it's just too deeply ingrained in her system.
This has been a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's notably, it's been adapted a couple of times in an episode of something called Lights Out, which was the first ever screen appearance of Eli Wallach, who, of course, played Mr. Freeze in the 1960s Batman TV show.
Everything's connected.
And it was also adapted as a segment of the horror anthology film Twice Told Tales, and the father of her dad, and it was played by one Vincent Price, who also played Dr. Phibes in the abominable Dr. Phibes, who was the inspiration behind the animated series version of Mr. Freeze. So there you go. Everything's connected. But there's apparently the rationale behind like a literally poisonous woman stems from Rappaccini's Daughter by Nigel Hawthorne. So
there you go. Here I was thinking that you were going to just pull out like La Belle Dame Sans Merci, but no.
Yeah.
Bringing out the good stuff, the edge cases,
Yeah. I mean, if you have anything on that, because I don't think I've heard of that. So
it's just it literally translates to the beautiful woman without mercy. It's just the trope basically of the beautiful woman who is deadly, and how you can't trust beautiful women because beautiful women will betray you.
That's gonna be now. Like, I'll edit that out, and then next week I'll be like, oh, it comes from this source.
Yeah.
That's what we always do.
See, that stuff. That I know because my mum's doctoral thesis was on fantasy and like Arthurian stuff.
My God.
So there you go.
Like, this whole time you've had your mum in the same house when you're recording. We could have her on the show the whole time, blowing everybody out of the water.
Better. She's more useful. She has more useful and interesting things to say.
How long would that episode of The Grinch had it been you and her instead of you and Omar?
We don't even have to be there.
Honestly, that's the one flaw. She never would agree to watch The Grinch.
It's a one flaw in life. Everything else perfect.
Is it because it's just like, I doesn't want to see that done to Dr. Seuss?
She hates Jim Carrey with passion. I can't. My opinions on Jim Carrey are strong, but you've never met my mother.
Oh man,
Runs in the family.
This is it. I grew up in a garden of Jim Carrey hate, and by osmosis, I have come to hate Jim Carrey. That's it. That's it.
You're not alone. You're not alone. Where are we now?
We're kind of at the end of the minute now. They just like, now they're like, oh, that was Poison Ivy. And then
they have their argument about Poison Ivy and who she loves more.
No, wait, that bit. Oh, I love that. So, yeah, they're explaining Ivy escaped, blah, blah, blah. But then Batman tries to figure out the connection between everything. Like, what's going on here? Why would Ivy help Freeze escape? And then Dick's response just makes me wet myself. Because he's like, well, she's definitely evil. I was like, that's great scientific, that. Yeah, good analysis. Evil.
And he's like, world's greatest detective's friend.
You did it. Good job, Dick.
You know what was the Adam West Batman, though? I feel he would be like, well, old chum, there's no guarantee that she is evil. A young lady might have been, taken astray by something.
Yeah, he used to say stuff like that, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, like no one is beyond redemption. Who is truly evil, Dick? Oh gosh, Batman, I wish I had thought of that.
There's a lot of like genuinely nice moral lessons there.
Oh yeah, there always is. Like Batman's that version of Batman's always like people can be redeemed. Don't give up on anybody. You never just concentrate on the worst in people because they've always got some good in them and stuff. And yeah, but it's the 90s. Everyone's a cynic, I guess. So she's definitely evil.
Yeah, goddamn Generation X's with their misery. Oh. Well, Dick admits as well that he was obsessed with Ivy. He thought he was in love, but that means it's worn off. That means she can be beaten.
Ooh.
And I was trying to come up with a song like, this is really obscure, like the way there's the Arnold Schwarzenegger musicals, and it's Predator, if it bleeds, we can kill it. They're singing. I was trying to make something I could do with Ivy, but I couldn't come up with anything. I'm going to work on it.
Say, John, as soon as you said it, that means she can be beaten, in my mind, I instantly went, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
That's exactly. I'm glad you thought the same, because that's one of the greatest songs of all time.
Oh yeah, that and their Batman and Robin song is just like it's the internet never got as good again. It was just like it just reached that peak, and then it's just everything else has been like, it's kind of okay, I guess. Next to it.
What were they called, John and Al?
Yeah, I've asked them on the show, but I've not got a responses yet. So I'm thinking we might not get them, but we did follow them on Twitter, and they followed us back. So I was like, we got it in, and then sadly, there'd been no. It's one of those things where you see they've been on Twitter since, and it's like, I guess they're just ignoring it, maybe. But
hey, they might be hugely popular. They might not see the messages.
Yeah, could be.
I miss messages, and I'm not popular.
But yeah, that's the this discussion continues in the next minute. So, you guys, anyone got anything else for 74 before we swagger on into that minute 75?
All noted out. We can head off.
Noted out.
Once more into the night. And we will see you again on Friday, Batmites. Next time, irksome ivy ogling. Objectionable objectifications are abound in Arnie's attic abode, as our babbling bat bros contract a case of the no homos. But when dynamic detecting tables their entendres for now, which cuisine could hold the key to a refrigerated frau? We sashay our way through a secret passageway. Come Friday, Bat fans. Same Bat pod, different Bat minute. We'll be back.